Welcome to Based on a Book, the podcast that keeps moving forward, step by step, breaking down the stories that test how far we'll go. I'm Lindsey, and I exist, therefore I am.
I'm Crystal, and 5 days after seeing this movie, I'm still not sure how I feel about it.
I'm Keri, and I'm still exhausted after this one.
And all month long, we've been diving into the dark, twisted, and unforgettable works of Stephen King. And today, we've reached our grand finale. This is our last adaptation and episode for Stephen King month, and we're going out with a heavy hitter, The Long Walk. Written under King's pen name, Richard Bachman, this dystopian story drops us into a chilling competition where 100 teenage boys are chosen for a brutal march with only one winner and one unthinkable prize. So it's part psychological thriller, part meditation on endurance. The Long Walk is one of King's earliest works, but it still packs a punch with its mix of surprise, survival, and humanity. So that's the setup for The Long Walk. A story that's both simple in concept and deeply unsettling in execution. But before we actually get into comparisons with the new movie adaptation, let's start with our ratings. I want to know how The Long Walk measured up for each of us, starting with Crystal.
I knew you'd start with me. I know that this is one of those stories that was inspired by the Greek myth of the Minotaur. And a lot of people talk about this being like, this is where the Hunger Games came from. Kind of no, but whatevs. I was interested in this and kind of excited to read it, a little terrified, but sadly I found it like boring. If that, it just, people talk about like Lord of the Rings, all they did was walk everywhere, and that's kind of how I felt about this one. Like, there were moments where I was deeply troubled, there were moments where I was deeply affected, but also there were moments where it was just boring to me. And so I give it 2 canteens. Right?
I feel super conflicted about this one because I gave it 3 warnings. And I honestly genuinely really liked the concept of the story. I found it kind of impactful to me, important, and it was very memorable to me. I was going through like an entire roller coaster of emotions with these characters.
Mm-hmm.
I like a character driven story, and this is definitely a character driven story, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
So that is like my bread and butter. Like, that's my favorite thing. But I have this very conflicted feeling with it because there's a lot of issues with it that I feel needs to be acknowledged. I mean, Stephen King wrote this, in the late 60s, I believe. This
Mhm.
was, like you said, his very first story that he wrote. So I think he was like, not the very first story that was published, but the very first story that he wrote.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he was like 19 at the time. And with his early works, he writes in the male perspective, and a lot of times from a young boy's point of view.
Mm-hmm.
And it's extremely vulgar and unfiltered.
Mhm.
And from my research, since I haven't read the rest of the Bachman books, the Bachman books is a representation of his most unfiltered and his most vulgar, to the point of being his most angry, like in the book Rage, where he actually doesn't even publish that title anymore due to its content. And I personally never run away from unfiltered material. I don't mind it. I always enjoy dark material and dark stuff, give it a chance. But sometimes it hits and sometimes it doesn't. And this one just like struck a bit of a nerve for me. So I think just like a lot of the content, like the misogyny, the racism in it, just really just unsettled me in this one. But that being said, I am very excited to talk about the movie because I feel very differently about the movie
Yes.
and enjoy what they did with it and the things that they changed about it.
Mhm.
So that's why I feel very conflicted.
Yeah. No, that's totally fair. I mean, they're generations apart, so
Yep.
Yeah, for
there
sure.
there's definitely a different tone there. I gave this one 3.5 miles. And I agree with both of you, especially with like, it's a very long story, and it had me in the first half.
Considering it's a short story too. Like it's
Right.
considered a short story in the Bachman books.
Right. And I kind of started losing it about halfway through.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, yeah, it's good story, good concept. I like that much of it. It's just a lot of walking.
Mhm.
It's a lot of walking. I mean, I know that's the point, but damn.
And
Yeah.
I was exhausted from reading it. So,
Mhm.
It's like so much walking and talk, just like internal thoughts and feelings about mostly about the main character, but and their relationship that he builds with the other characters that he's
And what he
walking with
learns.
and what he
Yeah.
learns about them.
And lots of like flashbacks, which are
Mhm.
important to, for the character development, but also don't really feel like they drive the story. So it was just kind of like, okay, come on, we got to keep going.
mhm.
Yeah.
And then going back to Carrie's point with it having been written in like the 60s, George A. Romero was first attached to direct a film adaptation of The Long Walk in 1988.
Mhm.
And then in the mid 2000s, Frank Darabont, who directed Shawshank Redemption and Green Mile, bought the rights for the novel. And he was going to make a film. And then after many years, no progress, the rights lapsed. So here we are, 2025. We've got an adaptation from Francis Lawrence, who also directed The Hunger Games, Catching Fire, Mockingjay Parts 1 and 2,
Mhm.
and The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
Yeah. I think he's done like a they've done like a lot of stuff too. Like I believe they did I Am Legend.
Yeah, I think
I
this
think
is his
so.
8th film that's based on a book.
Mhm. Yeah. So, I my personal opinion, this movie because I was honestly thinking that while reading this and Crystal, you've said this several times about Stephen King's books is he writes really good movies.
Mm-hmm.
And as I'm reading it, I'm thinking in my opinion, this isn't like you said, guys said it's like very slow. It is very character driven, but I can see like that this is kind of boring and can be boring. Not a lot going on here, but I can see where this is could be very good for the eyes to see.
He really does write such descriptive visuals that
Yeah.
it's easy to visualize a
Mhm.
lot of his stories, and so that's why I think they really do lend themselves to screen so well.
Mhm.
Stephen King has this way of writing that transports the reader into that place, and although I'm sure a lot of us see something slightly different, for the most part we all see very similar type things, with
Mhm.
changes maybe to color palettes or whatever, but it's so well done that we can kind of all agree about what it is or what it might look like. And so when we
Mhm.
do see it on screen, none of us questions it. None of us says, "Oh, that's not right," or "It shouldn't have been like that." Like, it feels right every time. It really blows me away.
Yeah. Definitely.
And this is one of 4 Stephen King stories that was adapted into movies for 2025.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So obviously we had The Monkey, The Life of Chuck, And then we've got The Running Man, which is another title under King's pen name. And that one comes out, I think, in November.
Yeah. He also currently has The Institute that is coming out. It's like a TV show, I believe.
Yes.
And the new Keri adaptation, isn't that coming soon too?
I think that's
Next
2026, possibly. Yeah.
He's just got a lot going on.
Yeah.
Well, there's also the Cujo remake too.
Yep.
Yeah. And you know what I think is really cool is that something I saw in a lot of interviews is that due to his experience with previous adaptations, he had full control over this casting. Complete control. Where there wasn't a cast member that did not get his okay in this movie, which I think is really interesting.
It is. Not a lot of authors get that.
Like, he is fully involved in this, which I think is awesome.
Absolutely.
Well, are we ready to get into spoilers, or was there anything else we wanted to discuss?
Let's get into the spoilers.
Let's do it.
Well, all right. Now that we've shared our ratings and our first impressions of The Long Walk, it is time to dig deeper. But before we do that, this is your final back out date to really talk about the story and compare it to the movie. So we're going to get into spoiler territory. And if you haven't read or watched it, consider this your warning. We'll also cover some content and trigger warnings before we jump in. The Long Walk is a dark, intense story that deals heavily with themes of death, violence, and physical suffering. It also touches on suicide, psychological trauma, and exploitation of young people. If these topics are upsetting to you, please take care of yourself while listening, skip ahead, step away, or come back another time if you need to, because your well-being comes first. But with this one, I am going to do it a little differently. I'm not going to break the two down scene by scene because there's just a lot of walking and a lot of
just
dying.
walking.
So we're going to discuss the differences between the book and the movie, what stood out, what we liked, what we didn't like, obviously. And we're going to go into some behind the scenes stuff too. So in the book, there are 100 walkers. And in the movie, there are only 50. So there's one per state.
Because I thought it was one per state when I watched, but I've only seen it the one time. And I was in the movie theater, so I didn't get to like pause and take notes like I normally would.
And there's no closed captions, so
no closed caption.
I can't hear them.
So I was very. I remembered that it was 50, but I couldn't remember if it was one per state, like the world's worst Miss USA pageant.
Right. And then instead of districts, it's states still.
Yeah. Also, something interesting. I can't remember this in the book, but I believe the age requirement is different as well. I think that in the movie, they kind of make it seem like it's 18 and over. I don't think that was the case in the book.
I definitely don't remember it being mentioned.
Okay. I'm pretty sure that it was an age below 18. Like, they could be younger than 18 in the book.
I think in the book, they were like no longer eligible after 18.
Okay.
Almost like a Hunger Games situation. When you hit 18, you no longer qualify.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's what I thought as well. So I thought that was interesting.
I hate to keep comparing it to the Hunger Games,
but because there's a lot of similarities, not just in, because their inspiration was the same. And so there are a lot of similarities. And, I'm not going to in any way whatsoever imply that the Hunger Games ripped off of The Long Walk. They're very different stories, but they do have a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
Yes.
Something I really, really love about the book and the movie is that we are immediately diving in. Like, there is no backstory. We don't even know a time period. We don't even know why we are in this dystopian-like setting or anything like that. We don't even know we kind of can make assumptions based on the things that we're seeing around us, but we don't even know any type of time period. And we're just immediately like, this is what's happening. This is kind of like the rules. And the walk is like starting now.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
I love that.
I went into this super blind,
Mm-hmm.
and so I knew that it was a like they're forced to walk, and I knew that it was more of like a lottery situation to get in, but that's really all I knew. I had no idea that this is walking the whole time, that it wasn't like we're gonna walk for 8 hours or 12 hours and then everybody rests for 2 hours, or we
Mm-hmm.
take breaks for everybody. I had no idea. And so in my head, I'm like, oh, they must be getting close to nighttime, they'll probably camp, and that never happened. And they kept talking about getting their ticket,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't know what that meant. And
Yeah.
so it was a like shock to me, and I guess I wasn't like super surprised. This is a Stephen King book, and it is compared to the Hunger Games a lot. So I knew that people were going to have to die. I guess I just didn't picture that. And so it really was jarring. You know what I mean? Like that shock of realizing, holy shit, what just happened,
Yeah. Like, this is what a ticket means. A ticket means you're dying. You're
And they
dead.
call it buying out too. Like
Yeah.
there were some terms in there that King just kind of threw out, expecting you to know what it meant.
Mhm.
Right.
I love that. That's
I
my
did. Yeah.
favorite type of thing in a book. It's like you either get on the train and you need to understand what's going on or get off of it. Like you just need to go with the flow.
Right. And I think that as a literary device works really well, because that first ticket was so much more upsetting when you didn't realize what was about
Mhm.
to happen, when you didn't realize what that meant. You know
Who's
what I mean?
delivering the ticket?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
death.
It
Yeah. And honestly,
got me.
and you immediately know that there's like a bad guy, like
Yeah.
big evil bad guy, which is the major. And they in the movie, I think that they do this so well because before we don't even get the title card until a decent amount into the movie. And this is so freaking good. This is so good. Like honestly, I got chills during
I've
the
got chills
movie.
now.
Yeah,
Mhm.
just thinking about it because we're like so like I can't even tell like what like 10 minutes, 15 minutes into the movie.
Yeah.
And honestly, I feel like it was longer, to be honest. And we're just like, we're starting the walk, and this is we're all getting our numbers, and
And
we all signed up, or
yeah,
like we
and
all,
Garrity's saying goodbye to mom,
yeah.
and
And it's emotional, it's intense, but like, what does this mean? We all got our numbers. Okay, everyone, start the walk, and we all have to keep this pace. We have this stuff, and then somebody lags behind due to something, and we get the most brutal shot
mhm.
in that moment, and then title card and
And it
realizing like we're not messing around.
but it was in the book, I'm pretty sure, where they said, like, they say the walk doesn't really start until after the first ticket,
Mhm.
and
That's
that's
exactly what
that's
happens in the
exactly what
movie.
happened. It was so perfect. And here I was in the theater by myself, and I'm trying not to boo-hoo loudly,
Mhm.
so I'm just trying to, like, because I don't want the people around me to know I'm crying, and so I'm just like in my popcorn, just trying really hard not
Mhm.
to. And I must have looked like I was laughing, which is even worse. I should have just cried.
And like, and the acting is top tier because immediately, even when they first, I forget his name, Garrity, when he
Mhm.
first gets there with his mom, immediately crying because he's about to leave to go on this walk. That immediately made me emotional. I'm
Judy
got teared up.
Greer as Garrity's mom
Mhm.
was like, she's only in the movie for like a total of 6 minutes or something. It's a
Mhm.
really small amount of time, but that 6 minutes gutted me,
Yeah.
gutted me. I cried at the beginning scene, and at the end, like, I lost it there in the theater. Like the last time she was on screen, I lost it in the theater. I didn't care who was around me. I was boohooing. That's just all there is to it. And I dare anyone else to not in that moment, any other mother to not cry at that moment.
Mhm. Did you guys see that during the not opening night, but before, they had treadmills during the viewings where you had to walk the 3 miles an hour while you were viewing it.
And
And
if
if
you
you
stopped,
got
they kicked you out.
Yeah.
That's
Could you
Oh
do
my
crazy.
that? Could you guys
God.
do that?
I mean, I
Probably.
could. 3 miles an hour is a standard treadmill walk for me, but like if they put that shit on an incline, probably not. No.
Yeah. What about you, Lindsay?
I'd like to say I could, but I'm totally sure I'd get so encaptured in this movie that I'd just stop moving and I'd just stare at the screen.
There's, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd get distracted. There's no way.
Honestly, I'm thinking about, like, looking at a big like, a huge screen and walking on a treadmill at the same time. Actually, kind of, like, I feel like I'd get dizzy.
I'd probably fall.
Well,
Yeah.
that's why I'd be holding on. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie. I'd be holding on to little handles.
Yeah.
But that's the a big difference between the book and the movie is in the book it's 4 miles per hour,
Mhm. Which
right?
is crazy.
That's a very brisk pace of a walk,
That's
right? That's a
a low-key
slow
jog.
run. Yeah. That's a slow jog, but that's a very fast paced
Mhm.
walk to maintain. 3 miles an hour is a reasonable, like, your heart rate's getting up there, but you're not necessarily breaking a sweat until it gets hot or you're going uphill.
Mhm.
I did see that was a correction that King was glad he got to make between the book and the movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because like when I saw 4 miles per hour, I was like, these kids ain't gonna last more than 24 hours. We're gonna have
Mm-mm.
like the walk's over after 12 hours at 4 miles per hour, especially when they hit that steep incline. Like, they'd be dropping like flies.
And these actors actually were walking, like, total, once they had finished filming, was, like, 200 to 300 miles.
Yeah. Yeah, and they filmed continuously.
Yeah.
So like in order. So that you can see from the beginning as they get more and more worn out and they're physically different from the start to the finish, and it's not just because of makeup or costumes. It's like legitimately they've been walking. It was pretty
Yeah.
amazing. This movie is so well done.
Yeah. Something I will say that I didn't love a lot about the movie that I missed from the book is in the book, it's much more of a spectacle.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I feel like that's not represented in the movie at all. They do come across random people that are sitting and watching because, this whole entire thing is being filmed kind of low key. Like, I mean, we keep saying the Hunger Games, but it's not as dramatic as the Hunger Games, but there is one camera on them as they're walking that everyone is watching in
But I feel
this,
like
you assume, in this world.
this is a difference in times too, because
Mhm.
when this was originally written, I don't know that Stephen King could have imagined a time where we had live streams all over the
Mhm.
place. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
That people, when this was originally written, you would have to go see the live show. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So people would come out to the roadside. People would gather in cities to see, when the walk was going past. And so I feel like that would have made more sense even when he was writing it. But I think the change was about right, you
Yeah,
know?
I can see that because honestly that also kind of like puts an idea in your head maybe of like a timeline possibly of when more like being closer to possibly the technology of now.
Right. I also think if you notice that, like, they mention that the major doesn't want this to be a spectacle where people show up unless they already live in that town. And you
Mhm.
notice that people don't really come out, even if it's a town or it's a city.
Mhm.
You see a couple here and
They were
there.
very deserted. Like a lot of the places were rundown, deserted places.
Right. And I think part of that is rundown, deserted. We were supposed to see this like dystopian post-disaster era United States, but also I think it went to show that people didn't want to watch this. People didn't want to see this. This was not the spectacle the major thought it was. It was more of a control device than anything.
Which was honestly, in my opinion, an opposite feeling of the book. In the book, it felt very much like everybody really wanted to see this. And
Yes.
everyone loved it and enjoyed it.
Yes.
In several different ways.
Yeah, the spectators were literally cheering on the sidelines in the book, and then in the movie, they're not waving, they're not enthusiastic, they're literally just watching them walk.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a huge difference.
In the book, they'd have like a whole group out there with signs and, screaming and like running into the road to interrupt like the different, walkers or whatever. And at one point, even Garrity in the book, like, goes and runs up to one of the spectators and kisses her. You know what I mean? So, like, that was like this celebratory thing. And it is clearly not celebrated in the movie until the very end. And that's a whole different story.
Yeah. They also kill a dog in the book, which, huge bummer.
Yeah. They also killed 99 young men. So
with that one dog.
With that one dog.
But that one dog really, really bothered me.
That dog didn't sign up for that.
No.
Can I talk about one of my favorite parts in the movie?
Yeah.
I've been so excited to talk about this part. This part has literally stuck with me so much in the movie. And it's so messed up, but it's just, I think it was just done so well where it felt like I was about to have a heart attack in the movie theater. The part where, I believe it's the first night, like the first time they're walking all the way till nighttime, and I believe Gary, he's gotten 3 warnings. Just his mental is, he's going a little crazy at the moment, and just going through all the emotions. And I'm forgetting the other guy's name.
Pete McFreeze.
Yes, McFreeze is kind of trying to talk him through it, and he's just taking it out on McFreeze at the moment. He just got 3 warnings. If you get one more warning, you're done, and you get your ticket. And then they see a sign for the incline. This part, I have chills right now just thinking about it. The way that this was filmed, it was like, so as they're walking, they have the vehicles around them with the people with their, weapons ready to take out these guys if they get past their warnings, get below their speed that they're supposed to go. And the second they hit that hill, they all jump off their vehicles because they know they're about to take a lot of people out because they're not going to be able to make it up this hill. And they're all standing all next to them with the weapons up to them, ready to take them out. And our main guy, Garrity, is starting to march up this hill, and the person is just standing there with the weapon up to him, following up the hill.
Right up to his head.
Have any warnings left.
Yep.
That part
and
really
everybody
got me.
And literally tons of these boys are getting shot or getting killed, and he's having to like step over bodies and going. You're hearing the shots go, and again, back to Hunger Games, the sounds of the gun, like the sounds of the cannon. You just lost another one. There's another one down, and they're right there
because they're building community a little bit during this thing, even though they know there's only one that can survive this. They're kind of building a community a little bit and a friendship. And he, all of a sudden, he's like trying to make it. He doesn't think he's going to make it. And McFreeze comes up and grabs him. And that just like, it helps him push him through. And that really got me. That was good.
That was really good.
That was like cinematic. That was just incredible.
I, again, crying.
Yeah.
In the theater.
Crying.
Yep.
So clearly, since there's half of the walkers. They've had to cut some of the characters from the movie. So some of the main characters that are both in the book and the movie are Garrity, McVries, Stebbins, Baker, Barkovich, Olson, Parker, and of course the Major, who's played by Mark Hamill, who has now made his second appearance on our podcast in the same month. Welcome
Right?
back. Welcome back, Mark Hamill. But in the movie, because there are less walkers, they had to combine some of these characters.
Yeah.
So there's a character named Scram in the book who is combined with Stebbins and Olson. And
their storylines definitely got muddled from in the book.
Mm-hmm.
And some characters were split and some were combined and some were split and combined. It's odd. Even like, I can't remember who in the book was married, but it's Olson in the movie.
Scram.
Yeah, okay. And I was like, because at first I was like, wait, they're different. And again, this was normally when I would pause it and start taking notes, but what do you do? And so I was like, I hope Lindsey's getting a lot of it. It was hard to keep track, for sure.
It's our first theater release, so.
And then this is Mark Hamill's third time in a Stephen King film after Sleepwalkers in 1992. And then, of course, Life of Chuck.
He didn't even remember that he was in Sleepwalkers.
I think he's uncredited. I don't think he even has a credit in that movie, which is funny.
I've heard, because I really wasn't sure how I felt about this movie. It left me with a lot of really big feelings. I'm still kind of processing all that, but I listened to a lot of other podcasts and read a lot of articles and watched a lot of interviews on YouTube and stuff to try and like see what is everybody else saying? Do I feel that way? How do I feel? And a couple of people said that like they weren't thrilled by Mark Hamill's role as the Major, that they didn't feel as connected to the Major, and that they thought that Mark Hamill could have done a better job, I guess, humanizing the Major. And I really feel like that is the opposite of what I wanted out of the Major at all. Like, don't get me wrong, it's weird to see Luke Skywalker as the villain. You know, that's just how that is. But I didn't need to know his backstory. I didn't. He's the bad guy. That's it. It's a dystopia. That's all there is to it. And I think him not being present as much as he was adds to that I don't know, that fear factor, right? Like, we don't know this guy. We're just supposed to look up to him.
Yeah.
You know, we have no idea what he's actually doing or what he's actually up to, but he is the boss, you know? And I loved seeing how the boys started connecting that as they're walking. They're like, wait a minute, who even is this guy? You know, screw that guy. And they start really figuring it out, like, which is something that takes a lot of people years and years to figure out who the real bad guys are in the world. Spoiler alert, it's the billionaires. But they, you know, these kids figure it out while they're walking, you know, before they even turn 20. They figured out who the bad guy is, and it's the guy trying to tell them he's the good guy.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Like, you also kind of see that in the book where Garrity even like says that there's one point where he's, you know, the Major, he'll come by and like check on them and then like leave. And like one time in the beginning, he's like screaming, he's like so excited and like waving at him practically. And then that like attitude changes throughout the story. And I think that we don't really see that so much in the movie because he kind of already has a motive going into it.
Right.
But you kind of see, like you said, that attitude changes throughout the movie amongst all of them. But I don't think we need a backstory for the Major because this is not his story.
Right.
It's the story of the Walkers. We don't need a backstory of anything outside of these people walking on this road. That's the only story that matters.
Yep.
And Mark Hamill said that when the director, Francis Lawrence, approached him about playing the part of the Major, he said he already knew the character. He knew who this person was going to be because he spent his teenage years in Japan, where he went to school next to a U.S. military base. So he saw these majors and was like, oh, I know exactly who to base this character on. He also said that he feels that this character is easily his worst character of all time, and even compared him to the Joker from Batman.
Wow.
So,
Interesting.
mm-hmm. But in 2019, Hamill actually said that he was going to step away from acting and he wasn't going to be on camera anymore. He was just going to do voiceover work. And Mike Flanagan casted him in his Netflix series, The Fall of the House of Usher. And then he got cast again in Life of Chuck. So now we've got more Mark Hamill this month.
Oh, darn.
Yep.
But all of the boys actually treated Mark Hamill as the major while they were filming, and they stayed away from him. They didn't really interact with them to kind of build up this villain.
That's so cool. That's so interesting because honestly, in their interviews, it's so funny because now they seem to have a different relationship with him when they just like being around him.
Oh yeah,
at least that's what it appears to be in the
he said as soon as filming ended or someone was done filming, they would come up to him and they'd have conversations and they'd get, and the other actors actually said that Mark Hamill was really nice. So
okay, that's good.
That's what I want to hear.
That'd be disappointing if it wasn't.
I like Mark Hamill.
I like a character that they changed a lot that it was in your face more was McFreeze, in my opinion, because I mean his backstory obviously extremely different in the book versus the movie, but also he's kind of like this character in the movie that's kind of like pushing everyone through this, pushing everyone that's helping them get through every step of this journey and kind of keeping the peace almost, and like almost being like comedic relief sometimes.
I see very much McFreeze as like the hope. He is the hope. He is it's almost like he is walking in hope.
Yeah.
That's it. And I see, Garrity as more the cynic, right? He's cynical, he's jaded, and that's his purpose. He is walking in this cynicism, in this, screw the man mentality. Life is awful, this world is awful, whereas McFreeze is the exact opposite. This world is beautiful. And like watching them walk in those two different ways but still end up like the best friends, basically, the brothers, is really just such great storytelling.
Yeah.
The movie definitely portrays more of a solidified alliance and the kindness and the friendship, and they're really walking together in the movie. But in the book, it doesn't really develop like that. They don't really have time to get to know each other,
Yeah. It's like they discuss some of their backstories a little bit, but they don't develop like a brother like friendship. Right. Another character I really liked in the movie was Baker as well. I really loved him a lot. His end really got me. I cried so much at that part. Like I was like sobbing into my popcorn at the movie theater, and I was trying to be silent about it because that one actually got me really bad.
That one was really sad.
That one was the sad one. Olsen's the one that really messed me up.
Yeah,
though.
Olsen they were all really sad.
They were all
bad. Honestly.
They
really were.
And let's just talk about how the book, Stephen King just doesn't shy away from misogyny, racism, violence, just disgusting, grotesque, horrific scenes. And neither does this film. This film did not shy away from the just absolute appalling kills, their murders. We see the, like these boys that have to go to the bathroom and they have to keep walking. We see these boys literally like walking on broken ankles, and it's the camera doesn't shy away, the film doesn't shy away. We see it all, and somehow in under 2 hours you become so attached to every one of these characters that every single kill is devastating. Every single one. I can't, any character that had a name, I I teared up, or there's a couple I had to look away. I had to look away. And that to me was just like, that is why I think I'm struggling so much with this movie, because in reality this is something that I would have never sought out to watch ever. Knowing how horrific it was going to be, I would have never watched this. But I'm glad that I did, and it definitely left me. I still feel so much about this movie. And even though this is not my genre and this is not something that I would typically watch, it has made me really consider the types of things that cause me to feel, and why do I shy away from those? Why do I keep avoiding those big feelings? Because damn, you know, this movie hit hard.
Yeah. It definitely hits in the feels.
Realsies.
I do think that the movie does a better job at explaining why they're doing the long walk and what the prize is for winning. But I think the book does a better job of explaining like the rules of the long walk and what's permitted and what's not.
Yeah, the prize and everything is just so vague. Like, it's just like, you get whatever you want, a wish and money, lots of money. Like, it's kind of like just like whatever.
I think it was interesting in the book how kind of, I don't know, about a third of the way through, they start talking about, well, does anybody even know what happens to the winners? Like, has anybody ever seen what happens to the winners? Kind of implying that, like, they get taken out back behind the nearest shed and killed too. Like, there really are no winners.
Yeah.
And we don't really know. You know what I mean? We're never given this guarantee that there is a winner. And I thought that that was really interesting.
But in the movie, Garrity says that the reason he's doing the long walk is to keep his father's memory alive, which felt really reminiscent of my Oxford year.
Oh,
Right?
Jesus. I did not see that coming. I did not see that comparison. Okay.
And Garrity's father was confronted by the major for illegal teachings of the old ways, and he's given the choice of pledging his allegiance or death, and he chooses death. So Garrity wants vengeance against the major, and his one wish is to take out the major.
Which is not something that's really in the book.
No,
No.
not at all.
No. So I don't know if this gives us purpose in the story, because the whole point throughout the story is, why are you here? What are you doing this for? And no one really knows. Everyone's like, oh, I don't know why I'm here. I don't know what I'm doing.
Well, everybody volunteers. It's a volunteer thing, and they have the opportunity to back out if their name gets drawn. But clearly anybody who gets drawn doesn't really back out. They go, And so I don't know. Like, for me, I walk because I was told I was supposed to walk. But and I'm sure there's some of these kids that are like, I don't know, glory, whatever. But, in a lot of these dystopian type things, it's always children, it's always young kids. And, I don't know if that's because of a better entertainment value or whatever, but I think it really is, an evil regime preying upon their easiest prey. These are impressionable young kids who we can convince to smile while marching down the road before they get shot, and it's really terrifying when you think of it that way.
Yeah, for sure.
And obviously, the biggest difference between the book and the movie is the ending.
Mm-hmm.
So in the book, Garrity is the ultimate winner. And in the ending of the movie, he is not.
No, he is not.
Which was a complete surprise. I had no idea they were going to change it that much.
Mm-hmm.
But in the book, Garrity continues to walk after he's already won. And he's walking seemingly towards death. He sees a dark figure. He continues to walk toward the dark figure.
I have a theory that this dark figure is something that comes across in a lot of Stephen King's novels. There's like something about this dark figure thing. And I mean, I haven't read, I think I just actually calculated, I think I've read 12 of Stephen King's stories, which is honestly not that much compared to all the stuff that he has. But I have a theory that probably this dark figure is probably something that crosses over between like where the stand and all that stuff. So I am curious about that.
I like to think that's truth.
Mm-hmm.
The King multiverse.
Yeah.
But in the movie, Garrity chooses to bow out, leaving McVrees to win. And
this whole end scene where
I loved it.
Like McVrees stops and starts getting warnings, and Garrity goes back and says, "No, brother, just a little bit longer. We have to stay together." And while he's convincing McVrees to get up and get moving, he's getting warnings too. And so they walk along together, and McVrees Garrity starts to fall behind again, and before McVrees can realize it,
I audibly gasped in the theater.
I mean, I could see it coming. I could see it coming.
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh no, oh no, oh no." And yeah. That damn.
Like,
Damn.
I wish you could get like a reaction video of me because I probably look like a cartoon. Like I was like I couldn't believe it. It was I thought this ending was way better. Like, what do you guys think?
Yeah. Oh, I loved this ending.
This ending was incredible.
And it was, to me, it very much was like they became brothers, and they changed this walk, changed them, but they changed each other. Right. And McVrees gave Garrity this hope for something better. But this walk changed McVrees, and he became the cynic. He became jaded.
And did
what Garrity wanted to do. It shook me. There's a lot of different interpretations of how this ends too. Because, like walking, they're the last two, and they get into the city, and we hear the crowd, and we're starting to see people on the side of the road.
But you don't see their faces
going, but you don't,
which is so weird. Like, I'm like, why don't we see their face? They're all faceless.
It makes me wonder, were they even there, or was there just enough noise to simulate a crowd that
they like
these boys were hallucinating because they've been walking for days and days and days. They've been awake for days and days and days. Also, then so McVrees gets the combine gun from the soldier. That was his wish. And the minute he turns it, all crowd is gone. I think he got killed in that moment. I think he got killed in that moment, and we're having this death hallucination of some kind, which is an awful thing. But but you see the crowd starts to disappear, the fireworks go away, and then he just he shoots the major. Nothing happens. Nobody comes rushing to him. There's literally no one else. It's just the two of them, and he turns and he walks away. It's just sobbing. Yeah. Sobbing in the theater.
So interesting. I like this change a lot. Like it.
So credits start to roll. I get up, I go out to the lobby, I sit down on a bench, and I message Lindsey. I said, what the hell?
What the hell?
I couldn't even make it to my car. I was just like, nope, got to talk about this right now. And this is why I hated that we all watched this from different places. Like we usually do, but like I couldn't pause it. I couldn't wait. I wasn't at home. I had to get home before I could call.
Yeah.
And then my mom was like, because she was watching my kid, what did you think of the movie? I was like, I don't know.
I can't talk about it right now.
I need my friends to talk about it.
Oh my
Is
god.
this scarier than King's supernatural works? What are we thinking on that?
Absolutely.
I was seeing somebody asking if this is identified as like horror. And I was like, I mean, it's definitely got the gore and everything, but I feel like this is like
More like,
dystopian thriller,
yeah,
possibly, with this gore in it.
the psychological
Yeah,
thriller. Like,
that's kind of what I'm getting. What do you think, Lindsay?
Yeah, and this goes back to our episode on the mist, where it's like, real people are always scarier than the monsters and
Yes.
the ghosts and stuff. So
Yep.
yeah, this is
This feels scarier.
yeah, it's more intense, definitely.
Yeah. What did you guys think of Stebbins, though? That was like a big character that I thought was kind of interesting.
Stebbins in the movie was completely different than
Yeah.
Stebbins in the book.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
I think
I like the idea of him though. Like I like that this was like put into the story
Yes.
where he was basically trained to push them in the book. It was more discussed in the book. Basically trained to be pushing them to last longer almost.
mhm.
And it worked.
Yeah.
It was Barkovich that really got me, because here he is, this like absolute jerk, like
Mhm.
the character that everyone is supposed to hate,
Mhm.
and he was really hateable. But somehow still I felt something for him as we start to see him break, you know. I just, these characters are just so well done. And honestly, I think this movie is really well done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Well,
totally.
I think I can guess, but what's our final verdict then?
Movie.
Oh, movie, totally.
Movie.
Easy.
And I
This is an
wonder,
easy one.
because Stephen King has so much control over his adaptations, or the adaptations from his works. The changes that were made, I wonder if he would have written this story differently now than he did then. You know what I mean?
I'm sure. Yeah.
There's a lot of changes from his earlier works to their adaptations, and it makes me wonder, like, as he's grown older and as the world has changed, how much of his works then would be changed now. Legitimately, I just love the story of the movie so much better than the book.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's probably partially a product of the time and a product of his age.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, now we're going to get into our question of the episode. So, in our first episode of Stephen King Month, we discussed our favorite King adaptations, and you both said that you hadn't seen many. So, now that we have explored more of King's works and adaptations, have your opinions changed on what your favorite adaptation is?
I mean, mine is now The Life of Chuck,
Mm-hmm.
but still Shawshank right up there. Right, a very, very close second.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Keri?
Shawshank is probably still my favorite, but The Long Walk, honestly, like, is very close
Mhm.
second. Because this one, it just really got me. It was so good to me. I really enjoyed it.
I've reflected a lot since that episode. So I'd have to say my favorite is Life of Chuck, and then Shawshank, and then Long Walk.
Wow.
Wow.
Yep. I grew up a little.
Aw.
But that is going to be a wrap on The Long Walk. And with it, our end to Stephen King month here on Based on a Book. We've taken quite the journey through King's worlds this September. But don't worry, we're not stopping here. October is officially spooky month, and we've got some titles lined up to keep the scares coming. In the meantime, make sure you're following us on social media so you don't miss a single update, clip, or behind the scenes moment. You can find all of our links, episodes, and more in one place on our Beacons page. That's also where you can send your book to screen recommendations. And if you want to join us in reading along, check out our Libro FM through our affiliate link. It's our favorite way to listen to audiobooks while supporting local bookstores at the same time. So thanks for walking with us through Stephen King month. And remember, just keep picking them up and putting them down. And we'll see you in the next chapter of Based on a Book. Bye.
Bye.